I'm Marty Grunder from the Grow Group and Grunder Landscaping Company. This is one of our playbook webinars with Aspire, and we are an $18 million a year landscaping company with office in Miamisburg, Ohio, and one in Loveland, Ohio. They're about 45 minutes apart. We've been in business 41 years. Half of our revenue is commercial, half is residential, half is design build, half is maintenance. John Gohl is one of the leaders of Aspire. And John, you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, please, at Aspire?
Yeah, thanks so much, Marty. I've been at Aspire for almost a dozen years now. Can you believe that, Marty? Since
Employee number what?
employee number five.
Yeah,
So,
five.
it's super excited to be here. Been involved in implementation, touched a bit on the sales side ourselves, supporting that team as well as the customer success team. So I've been able to work in a number of different areas at the organization and spend a lot of my time now working with NALP, getting Aspire in the classroom, as well as traveling to events and excited about today. When we talk about powering sales and using systems, obviously we're going to focus on Aspire. We're going to talk about a couple other Aspire products that folks like Marty are leveraging each and every day. But really, there's also systems beyond that, and those are the processes,
Right.
right? Those are the procedures. And I can't think of an organization better than Grunders when it comes to executing with systems, processes. So if you haven't had a chance to get to his grow events, folks, you're missing out from the morning rollout to what's actually happening with the systems that they're using, not just in the shop, but in the field and throughout the organization as well. So, Marty, it's time to set a goal, right?
It is.
A lot of folks
And
are
you know,
wrapping
John,
up
I want to mention
2025.
some I want to mention something though real quick that I don't think you touched on. And I think this is important. So John came from the green industry, folks. John is a techie guy, but John isn't someone that's, learned the landscaping industry in the last 12 years. John, you know a lot about landscaping.
Yeah, I grew up out of school, Marty, and
Right.
got in on the commercial side. We did some residential, but we didn't have as balanced of a mix as you did. We were pretty heavy on the commercial side.
Yeah.
And I grew up primarily in the production end. So ran a
I
very
think
large mowing
yeah,
operation.
I think that's important to mention because to me, it's the difference between the football coach that never played football and now he's trying to get everybody's attention and the football coach that had a lot of success on the field. I think that matters, John. And I think that matters to Aspire users and aspiring Aspire users, pardon the pun, the experience and the real world perspective that you bring. So let's talk about goals. What do you want to talk about goals here on, John?
Well, I think a lot of folks right now are trying to finish the year-end goal, and obviously we're going to have a number of new goals as we enter the new year. For most people, that those only last for about 2 weeks, um, and then they might ditch that goal thereafter. But I think when we talk about goals, Marty, it's something your team does an exceptional
Yeah.
job of, and if we want to keep moving, I mean, goals are kind of what's going to help us get to where we're needing to go, and that's with systems and technology. So, Marty, I don't know if you want to touch base on goals, how you're setting goals, and if we want to move to that
Well,
next slide.
yeah, 100%. I mean, goals are everything, folks. And Aspire helps clarify the goals with like specificity in terms of the detailed metrics and targets. It's one thing to say we're going to grow sales, John. It's a whole other thing to say we're going to grow sales. Our goal next year is 20 million. Of the 20 million, 10.5 million will be commercial maintenance. Here's where we are right now in renewals. We, in the last 2 years, according to Aspire, we've closed 45% of the calls we've gone on. So if we got to get another X amount, we know by the percentage here. It just Aspire just helps you clarify all that. And that's what I think is in the magic. It's one thing to have a number and just throw it out there, John, but if there's no math or no backup behind it and your team, they're smart and they can't see a path to where this makes sense, it's really not a goal. It's just this great big thing hovering out there that nobody really believes in.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So we're going to talk about three things today. It's going to be building that roadmap, and then cultivating existing relationships we've got with our customers and then optimizing our sales process. So, as Marty was saying, yeah, we can set a goal, but we've got to have data to really understand where we're at so that we know where to head. And Marty, I think if you ping on that next slide, we'll get
Yeah,
kind of
we
a
can dig into
snapshot
it,
of some
right?
things.
And this is what I was mentioning, John, just the real-time metrics in terms of, we're looking at growth and coaching for profit. When we start having these, and they're easy to get with Aspire. That's the cool thing. Like, this is real time. This isn't like you got to go in and go pull something from one pivot table and pull it into another and then do some math and then get out your calculator. I mean, we're talking about real-time dashboards that enable at any one moment to see where we're at. I was on the road for 3 weeks. It ended 2 weeks ago speaking, was all over the country. And several times I was on the plane. And normally I don't log on for an internet connection. Normally I try to work on something strategic, but I was gone so long and I had some cross country flights. I went into Aspire to see how we were doing. There was a job that I was involved with. I wanted to see how it was going. I wanted to see how our month was. I wanted to see how our receivables were. All these things that just before were everywhere, now make it really, really easy.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you were able to strategize in somewhere like an airplane or even
Yeah,
an airport helps you get prepared for when you do meet with the team. And Marty, I've had the honor of sitting on a leadership meeting with you and the team, and the metrics, the things that you are looking at, and the insight you have into where you stand now and where we're falling behind. It's mind blowing,
yeah.
and I know that you offer opportunities for folks to see how you all are leveraging the system as well. But
Yeah, we just finished up one of those yesterday. It was fantastic. We are blessed. We have Seth Flum, who's considered by a lot of people to be one of the top users of Aspire. His understanding of the architecture and how it works, and how to build lists and things is he's fantastic. So that does help us a lot. Do you know, John, when our first year that we went live in Aspire in 2020, I was at the Aspire conference in Arizona, and Kevin Kehoe was still with us. God bless Kevin. And I said, good managers make good decisions with good information. And prior to having a data aggregator like Aspire, we had data, but I never trusted it. And the reason I didn't trust it, John, was when I would dig deeper in it, I'd be like, well, that's not right. That's not allocating the proper cost from that. There's no way that's right. And when you have data like that and you think it's corrupt or it's not, it doesn't have everything included, that's no way to run a business. So, the 3 points that you have on here about the sticking points in the sales cycle, the transparency, and the budgeting and forecasting, that's what every business owner and leader that has P&L responsibility in a particular part of the company, that's the kind of stuff that they need. And they need it at their fingertips, and they need to know that it's valid. Like, they're not questioning it. You start questioning the data that you have that you're making business decisions on, that's a terrible position to be in.
yeah, I agree. And sometimes when you're questioning data and you start to dig deeper, um, it does help you better understand the process and helps folks that are responsible for whether it's completing a ticket in Aspire or allocating material to a job. When things don't look right, you can at least drill in and start to data mine and find out where maybe there's a particular user that you need to start
Right.
holding accountable. And Marty, you had a point. Great leaders make great decisions with good data. I also think, and I commend you and your organization for taking those numbers, sharing those goals with the rest of the team, down to not just the crew leader, but the crews themselves. And you do that in your
Right.
shop.
Right.
If anybody's never been to Grunder's shop, they have multiple monitors with the schedule board. Where are we today? Where are we going tomorrow? As well as how are we performing on estimated the actual hours this week. And it's creating some good
Yeah.
competition, definitely inspiring the teams.
Well, you know what I want to mention on that? What's really cool about it, John, 10 years ago, we had metrics. We would share them, but we had to share them. We had to build a slide. We had to get everybody together. We had to project them up on the screen. We had to talk about them or print them out on a piece of paper and hand them out. And now they're real time. and they're actually real time on everybody's tablets. The dials that we're watching, the metrics that are most important. There's about 9 measurements that we have that the whole company watches. I do believe that if you have, if you're measuring 70 things, you're measuring nothing. It's too much. You can't. The 9 things we've picked out, there's 2 of them that are most important: hours worked and on-site time, that the crews focus on diligently because that's what their performance bonus is based on. But what's so cool about Aspire that has been a game changer was, like I said, we used to have to print a slide. Now they can see it. And they know, and because it is so fluid and present constantly, they actually understand it and they're looking at it and they know. And John, and there's been a lot of cool things happen to us in 41 years of business. One of the coolest things was 3 years ago, Jimmy and Alan, who are both group leaders, so they're in the second tier of the org chart. They're not on the leadership team. Great men doing a great job. They're standing in front of the whole company explaining our metrics. And the farther you can go down in your org chart and have people understand the metrics and be able to explain them because they understand them so well, that is where the secret sauce is. And I know you know that, John, because you see that's the power of the data that comes out of Aspire. And again, it's trite. I'm probably going to say it 4 or 5 more times. Great managers make great decisions with great information. And that's what can happen when you start having people understand that you're not having to go out there and put boots in rear ends because they get what they have to do to win.
And they're growing, right? They're
Yeah.
maturing too. They're evolving. And I'm telling you, if that doesn't do something for their self-worth, and if that doesn't keep them around at Grunder longer, because this organization is making me faster, stronger, smarter, it's good for retention as well.
Well, and I didn't even think about it that way, but you're absolutely right because I went on Chat GPT yesterday and I entered in my queue. I said, I've been on the road a lot. I've been teaching, yada yada yada. Please tell me what continues to be the number one issue in the green industry, and what came up was finding and keeping people. Now I knew that, but I wanted to see if maybe there's been some rumblings that the economy's not as good, and I agree with that, but that was still number one. And when you tell people where you're going, when they feel like they're kind of on the inside, that's where the engagement starts to really take place. And when someone has this information and they understand it, I think, John, they start thinking like an owner because they're owning this information. And the way we have it set up, which I think we've taken it to a really cool level that it's part of their compensation. I'm super excited about what we're doing. It's what gave us a lot of confidence to open up another office. We're not ready to open up a third office. A second one for right now is enough. But I think in due time, when we get Cincinnati, we get our feet underneath us down there. We're going to know what to do the next time because we've got great data.
Yeah. And obviously, this is helping us understand where we're at. But Marty, if we keep moving on, um, let's talk about we know where we're at. We're going to put a plan in place, but how do we hunt new work? How do we find new opportunities? And here we see obviously leveraging your data as a compass for locating those most profitable opportunities. And a lot of that's where are we, right?
Yeah,
Where's our shop? Where is it that we want to grow? Maybe I've got a crew that's about a little bit farther out, and they're only doing a few jobs a day every Monday, and we start to question whether or not do we not perform the work out there, or do we start growing that?
right.
And you obviously, and congratulations on opening the second location. And I'm kind of curious, Marty, when you did that, and this is the tool, Convex, which allows
Right.
us to filter down by industry. If we're looking for hospitals, we're looking for schools in particular to take care of. Really, really good product that doesn't require you must have Aspire, okay? If
Right.
this is something you're on a different program, but you want to get your feet wet, check this out. But Marty, I know you and Seth have been using this, and I believe you said Grant was.
Yeah. So my son, graduated from college in 23 with a degree in business. He worked in logistics sales, actually in Chicago, where you're showing that right there on the screen. He enjoyed his job, he liked it, but thankfully he was interested in coming back to the company. He joined us in April. He's been out of college 2 years, got a lot of great experience, and joined us. And this is part of what he's doing. And when you and I were preparing for this, John, this was probably the slide that I was most excited about to teach, just because of how um, this is this is exactly what we're doing. So we have a location in Dayton, Ohio. We are very well known here after 41 years. I'm bragging, but we have a very good reputation. We know where the, if you will, bodies are buried. We know the market, we know the network, we know our competition, we know the properties that we want. Like, there's not, I think my team might know the market for landscaping in Dayton better than any other landscaper in Dayton. And I know that sounds boastful, but we've been around 41 years. We got the biggest team. I got people focused on it. I think that's fair, a pretty fair statement. In Cincinnati, John, I've gone to Cincinnati my entire life. I know where I'm going, like, directionally a little bit, but I don't know the neighborhoods. I don't know the office parks. I don't know all the players. Procter and Gamble is based in Cincinnati. The ancillary business of companies that provide to Procter and Gamble is incredible. Kroger's is based in Cincinnati. There's some other major companies are based down there, but there's work everywhere. And we don't have the reputation down there. We don't know where everything is. So to have a tool like Convex that Grant is getting used to using, plotting where we have our existing accounts, and heat mapping where we'd like to improve route density, because route density is very, very important. And I know you know this, John, but sometimes people don't understand this. I've had people say to me, well, I'm not so concerned about route density because I get paid to travel. Okay, you might get paid to travel, but you're making yourself more expensive to your customers, and you're opening yourself up to the competition coming in, and maybe they don't have to travel, and now they just beat you. So I don't think that's a very smart statement to say. So route density is an incredibly important part of a growing business strategy. You're putting the tailgate down once, and you're there, and you're doing 5 or 6 of them, and you're trying to get that way. So the convex tool, and I'll be blunt, John, I don't know how to use it exactly. I know what it does, and I see the outputs of it. But Grant, in a short amount of time, has gotten, he's very good on it, and he's had numerous wins from it. And like the slides say, you're uncovering leads based on publicly available attributes. Where are they? The location. How many people work there? What's the square footage? And you're eliminating guesswork and wasted efforts on high potential leads. And you've just streamlined your entire prospecting. And John, like we were talking about when we were preparing for this, you don't necessarily have to be an expert on landscaping to be successful with this tool. Well, you don't. It's not necessarily, you don't. And what we've been able to do, my son worked here 4 summers. I wouldn't say he's a good landscaper. He's not a great one. Another 4 or 5 years, he'll probably be a great one. But he does know his plants. He does know equipment, but he's learning, and he's learning fast. And he has enough with him, and then some other degreed horticulturalists, a designer, if this is needed. He's been very successful and gotten up to speed here pretty quickly in his 8th month. And I'm bragging, but he's going to have sold close to $1 million worth of work this year already in not even a full year. So I think for somebody that's young and is new to the market, these tools have enabled him to get up to a point of success that otherwise that would have taken him a lot longer than 8 months.
Yeah, and it's bringing that branch success, right? We're increasing density, we're increasing the amount of places that perhaps we would have never even proposed work to. I know companies
Amen.
that are proposing work without even necessarily meeting the property manager, to say, hey, look at me. I'm new, you don't know me. Wow, I just got an estimate from somebody who didn't ask about it. I might actually give them a call back. That was
Well,
pretty
those
cool. They didn't have to do
unsolicited
that.
We're using that a lot. You know, a lot more and more companies, John, even if you warm call them, do some research and go to their facility, their facilities are locked down. You can't get in. Okay? And same thing goes with telemarketing. You call people and you leave a message, they don't call you back. So that what does that mean? I just give up. Well, I guess I can't sell anything. They're not going to open the door. They're not going to answer the phone. I'll just go out of business. No, no, you're going to be a defensive end. And what does a defensive end do? Gets to the quarterback. I don't care how big that offensive lineman is. I don't care if they're going to put three guys on me. I'm going to spin. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get to the quarterback. Same thing in sales like this. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get a quote. And we've had success with unsolicited quotes being a way of letting them, hey, why don't you come on up? I'll unlock the door for you.
Yeah. And obviously, then we have property intel, right?
Yes.
So, alone, folks, if you're not on Aspire, you are looking for a tool um, to perform takeoff measurements, etc., for your jobs. This is a fantastic tool. It's allowing folks, and Marty, I did it with Seth. We put together a bid and didn't take too long for I think it was about $140,000 if you don't mind me sharing, but
No, go
a
ahead.
huge shopping center. It would have taken hours to walk. Not
Oh,
to say we didn't walk a couple parts and definitely drive it, but um, we were able to identify exactly what we needed to do and get that bid out.
well, and here's the thing, John, about property intel. So not only has it saved us time, like a site like this, a large home, if you go out there and measure that with your wheel, think about how long it's going to take you to do that, and also think about how many errors you're going to have. I'm sorry, you're going to make an error there. You're going to look at your handwriting, you think it says 16, it's really 26. All right, and you're not going to have, so the accuracy is an issue, and the time is an issue. How much time it takes. This is going to sound ridiculous, John. A quote like this used to take us three, four. If we went to the site to measure it, wheel off the bed edge, the lineal feet for edging, and everything else, half a day.
I know.
We're talking under 30 minutes now. So it's less time and it's more accurate. And how do I know it's more accurate? Because when we release the materials in the hour and the hours and the real time job costing that we have on the work ticket, it's coming in under budget. It's coming in close to budget. If it doesn't, we dig back into it. We figure out what it is. And when we go there the second year, we fixed it and we got it. Instead of perpetuating these mistakes where you don't have good data and you can't adjust and you can't improve. So, property intel armed with Aspire has been amazing. I mean, we did a 3 million square foot commercial snow bid in about 7 minutes, believe it or not. And so it's just a very, very powerful tool. Cuts down on the time and improves accuracy. I don't know why you wouldn't want that.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Marty. So we talked about understanding where we're at, how we're gonna to find new work, and then let's talk about Marty existing work. So we've got existing clients. How do we harvest more work from the folks that we're already serving? And it- I think one of the things that came up in the landscape industry report that we just did, we interviewed about 2,000 folks is people were very focused, more so than growing, was maintaining, retaining the clients that they already have.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is understanding your renewals process, right? Who do we want to keep, or is it worthwhile to have this client anymore? And that's been a big concern for a lot of folks to say, coming into 2026, I am going to really work on retention.
Right. Doesn't make much sense, John, and it's hard to grow if you're trying to add eight new accounts or say $2 million worth of work and you lose 700,000. So there has to be, and by the way, not an unintended conversation to have here. Aspire also helps you retain by some of the communication and the automatic notifications, the ability, 10 years ago or 6 years ago prior to Aspire, we had these things, John. This is stick notes. call Mr. Gohl. He says his backyard, he's not pleased with it. So the stick note goes on somebody's desk or whatever, and then the stick note blows away. Mr. Gohl doesn't get called back and he's mad, he cancels. So, I mean, Aspire with the closed loop in terms of communication, reporting issues, and other things. Folks that have joined us today, they're on Aspire. You should know what I'm talking about. If you're looking at Aspire, it's just this whole self-contained system that makes the renewals easier, and it puts you in a better spot with your customers in the things that matter most to them, one of them being communication. So absolutely, managing contract renewals are an easy part of this.
Yeah, Marty, let's keep moving. Then we have the site audit, right? So I've got existing clients and using something like the site audit tool not just shows the customer I actually care. I'm out reviewing the quality of the work that we perform, but offering upsell opportunities. Here's an area, perhaps it's your signage, your storefront isn't looking quite up to par. I'd like to make you look better. That's my job as your landscaper. We're in the image business, and I'm worried about your image. And when I was working with Corey Beidler years ago, he had heard from some property management folks that we wish you would help us understand how we could look better. We're always calling when we have an
Right.
issue versus you being proactive and helping me identify that before I even need to make a phone call.
Well, and you know something we've learned here, and we learned this from a company in Chicago, that you want to make your client look good. Many of these property managers may have an owner come in and say, "Hey, has your landscaper talked to you about those dead trees?" No, they haven't. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You got a good landscaper or not? Maybe we need to get another bid. So, and then the other thing I wanted to add in terms of the potential on accounts, safety issues like concrete that's raised, low hanging limbs that could be eye poker outers, um, shrubs that are too tall and are security reasons or sight visibility for car issues. You start having all this stuff with these tools that makes quoting and bidding and estimating the work easier. And now you're cooking with gas, John.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but safety, security, I
Yeah,
mean, you might as well consider that job sold.
those are
Uh,
slam dunks. Exactly.
And then we talked about, identifying jobs versus how are we performing. And I think these kind of reports are going to help us understand where are we profitable, where are we not. Um, are these current customers that we're doing maintenance work, are they actually purchasing any upsells? Um, I don't know what else you want to touch base on that, Marty.
I mean, I think it's showing you all the angles that you have to do more business with your existing client base. And private equity has entered our industry, and I've heard John people poo-poo in private equity. Hey, let me tell you something. There were very few people that wanted to invest in our industry 10 years ago. Now we're a shining star. So I think private equity has been a great thing. But if you're going to be adding equity in your business and making your business more desirable, more valuable, selling more to your existing client base has got to be a critical component of that. It makes so much sense. And we always say you shouldn't be trying to dig 1,040-foot deep wells. You ought to be trying to dig 41,000-foot deep wells and really truly have a relationship with the client where they begin to feel they can't get what they're getting from you from anyone else. And a lot of this has to do with saying, listen, we don't have to do all these things, but here's the next 10 things I think your property could use to look better and to be a better investment. You might be able to get more rent out of it, whatever, but those are some other things to add. What about efficiency and consistent estimating, John?
Yeah, I mean, if we keep moving on to the next slide, Marty, we're going to touch base on that. Obviously, it the words say it themselves here that the faster we can get more bids out, the more
We're
likely they're
we're
gonna they're
planting
gonna
seeds.
germinate, right?
Right.
Yeah. So obviously we've already hit on this, and for time's sake, I don't think we need to drive the message
Yeah.
anymore that with good takeoffs we can put together um, quicker opportunities to get into the hands of folks. But I think a big one here is the consistency you're going to get using templates and kits. And for
Oh
folks
yeah.
that aren't Aspire customers, A template would essentially be all of the services that we offer on a maintenance contract aligned with the production factors for that, so that when I am estimating a job, I'm not forgetting to bid or include winter pruning or spring cleanups or fall cleanups. Everything's laid out, and then I'm just going to remove the services that we don't want to perform.
Right.
So we've got those templates already built, so you don't have to build something from scratch. You're either adding or whittling down. And then obviously the kits, and those are production factors. And when we
I
hear, Marty, you brought it up earlier, labor is an issue, retention's an issue. When you've got solid templates and when you've got solid production factors, it allows you to think outside the box when you're looking to hire new folks. They don't have to be a
right.
landscape expert to estimate, right?
And you don't have to worry about them making mistakes because, like, for example, we do a lot of cobbles for areas up against building, drainage, so on. There's a cobble kit. You get the square footage of the cobbles come in, the weed mat comes in, the sod staples to put the weed mat down with come in. That's how that works. You're putting in a segmental retaining wall, same thing. Your seeding, all those things come in. If you're using Excelsior mat, the mat comes in, the fertilizer, the seed. If you're not, it's the straw, it's whatever it is. It keeps you, oh gosh, I forgot to put drain tile in. Well, you can't forget it when you have the kit. And that's what's so cool about it. And you stop this like looking through catalogs and three-ring binders and all this stuff, and it all gets put in the kit when you do that. It improves your chances for accuracy and missing out little things that can cost your company a lot of money.
Yeah, it really does. I remember somebody putting an estimate together for like 100 trees and they forgot the mulch.
Yeah,
Wasn't the end
right.
of the world, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice to know. And obviously, folks, we're not saying that anybody can just go out and estimate and be a pro. We still have checks and balances, right? If it's a large
Well,
enough job, I'm going to get several
you
sets of eyes
also
on
you
that.
also this is how, John, this is how a lot of companies are scaling. Okay? Because now we have a system that somebody can follow. It'd be like if you went into one Chipotle and the lettuce was first, and in the other Chipotle the meat's first. There has to it's got to be an assembly line. There has to be some consistency where we can scale this thing, and when you get it in consistency, you can move faster and you eliminate mistakes, and it's just this is the way you should be running a business.
Yeah, obviously. Something I like about this property intel tool, and again, we've seen it for measuring things like maintenance work, snow work, but also uploading building plans or adding, subtracting trees. Marty, you do a lot of high-end residential.
Right.
Obviously, showing your customer, here is my plan. You wanted a few trees. Here's where we would put those. I think it just enhances the customer experience. Wow, these guys are actually and women are using some really cool technology, cutting edge stuff, and I can see right now um, how things are going to be laid out and the kind of impact they're going to have.
Yes. Amen.
So, how about recalibrating, Marty? Continuous results.
Changing markets, folks, those you got to continually refine them. We've got a lot of data that's informed here, continuously refining for stronger outcomes. Um, John, what's your take here?
Well, I think it is that things are always changing, right? We've got a process, we're sticking with it. And then being able to say, hey, the market's changing, we're going to have to adopt perhaps a new technology to give folks a heads up when we're coming. Um, but really, that's that culture of accountability. And while things are changing, here is the change, and we've got to change with it and getting that rolled out to our folks.
No, amen. And with the way this sets up, it enables you to see with great clarity what's going on. And like I mentioned before, and it says it better here, fostering a culture of accountability, enabling a sense of ownership and informing recognition. And that's really, really important because when you get, your culture is good when you're coming into work and your people are naturally doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, John, I think Aspire in many ways, running a business with Aspire is the same thing as driving a truck or a car with a dashboard, and driving a truck or a car without the dashboard. You don't know how fast you're going. You don't know if you got enough gas. There's no GPS. You're just kind of wandering aimlessly and you're doing things off a gut, which gut in the 70s and 80s and 90s was fine, but there's no reason to be doing that now when you have tools like Aspire that give you the good information that let good managers make great decisions.
Yeah, how many times, Marty, do you meet with clients of yours that attend your events and they know they're making money, but they don't know where? And
Right,
one of the things they don't know is they're making money, but they also don't know where they're bleeding.
right.
And they don't know where they're losing it. And a lot of times, once they get into a system like this, it's an eye opener. Now I see where
Well,
I'm winning and I see where I could be better performing.
I probably said that we had a group in here at Grunder the last 2 days for an Aspire field trip. It's where we take entrenched Aspire users, and you've been to it, John. We show them how we use it and leverage it. And I probably said, Emily could come on and tell us, I probably said 10 times, Aspire tells us what to do more of, but more importantly, Aspire tells us what to do less of. And that's just something that is important and we talk a lot about. I think it's overlooked. Like you continue to do some legacy services that you did when you started the business. And I know it hurts. Like I would love to put pictures up here and tell you that of our 18 million in revenue, they all are national award winning residential landscape designs because that's the sexy stuff. That's the stuff that looks awesome. But the fact of the matter is, we would be a $4 million a year company if that's the only kind of work that we did. So when we know that, it's funny, John, our most profitable service is watering. Our second most profitable service is salting. Our third most profitable service is mowing. So we didn't know this prior to running Aspire. And now we know it. So guess what we want to do more of? More watering, more salting, and more mowing. So that's the beauty of having all this data driven strategies that deliver results. They can take your sales to the next level because they tell you and they clearly point out to you what to do more of and what to do less of.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Marty, I want to thank you for being here with me today, and I think we
Uh,
can pop it open to questions if
Yeah, John, it's
if it
always fun to be with you. You can tell I get revved up and I think it's great. We've spent a lot of time together. You've been very kind to us. Aspire truly has been a partner in our success and we cherish these opportunities to come on with you.
fantastic.
Emily, do we have some questions?
We do. And as a reminder, everybody, if in case you joined late and missed this instruction, you can send us your questions using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and I'll ask your questions for you now. Our first question came in from Daniel. He asked, does Aspire data incorporate into Convex tool automatically?
Can you
No,
say that
it's
again,
not a
Emily? It broke up.
Sorry, the Convex tool that you showed earlier in the slides, does Aspire data incorporate into that automatically?
via like an API feed is what I'm taking. Um,
I think that's probably what he's asking, yes.
yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
think at this current time it does.
Okay. And
And
then
forgive me, and if you want to get me their email, I'd be happy to follow up with them and get them
yeah,
that answer.
Emily, I'm ignorant on that. I'd have to, honest with you, I'd call Grant and I'd ask him. I'm not certain. I know it interfaces with Aspire, but to what level at that, I would just be guessing.
Okay. So our next question came from Jeff. He asked, when he's on a customer's site, is it possible for him to drop a pin for each issue to refer to later with a map that they can send with their customer along with a proposal? Do you know if that functionality exists?
I'm almost certain that's what it does. John, you may have to look
Yeah,
that
it
one
should
up
know
too.
where you're at, Jeff. That's Jeff Kunkel, right?
Yep.
All right, Jeff Kunkel out in California with me. It should automatically drop that pin where you're creating that issue at.
Yeah, right.
I can
That's what I
follow up with a
thought.
phone call to you, Jeff.
That's great. And then he asked if that was in site intel. I think he means property intel. But it sounds like I think that just happens in the issues, right? When you're creating those
On the
or
audit, site audit,
on the
yeah.
audit.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Those were the only two questions that came in from attendees. So if you guys have anything else you want to cover, or we can give everybody a little bit of time back in their day.
I think the biggest point is if you're on Aspire, maybe we've unlocked some things that you can see what's possible, which is always cool. John, I think there's close to 1,300 users of Aspire, 8 or 9 billion dollars worth of revenue being run through Aspire. There's a lot of momentum, almost a lot of group sourcing, if you will, people working on this together. It's getting better and better and better and better. And it's exciting to see what you can do. I didn't even have a computer on my desk till 1997, John. And Emily, I'll blow her covers, my oldest daughter. I wouldn't consider myself a tech person at all. But what I need to manage this business from an owner and a CEO perspective, we're blessed to have a great president in Seth. I get what I need in 5 minutes. And again, I'll go back to what I said before. Good managers make good decisions with good information. And it's not smart to be flying blindly. You got to know what to do more of and what to do less of. And the things that we gave you some insight on today are great. If you haven't looked at Aspire, I'd strongly encourage you get a demo and take a look at it. It's
Yeah, for the Aspire users on the call, God bless Marty Grunder because they have about 3 or 4 Aspire related events at their shop. It's a great time to see how he and Seth and the rest of the team are leveraging it. We have folks out there as well, so take advantage of that. If you're not on Aspire, but you're looking to improve your own internal processes, your culture, the overall health of the culture at your company, you got to get to a grow event, see the morning rollout, see how they've got their shop laid out. Everything is very, very precision thought out. Execution is everything there. And I don't care if you're a $1 million company or $100 million company, you're gonna walk away with some pretty hefty bag of nuggets to bring back to the fort
thank
and
you,
improve your
John.
organization.
And you know something that I think this will add a little bit here as we wrap it up. We've been scheduling work on a schedule board for years. We're still scheduling work on a schedule board. It's an electronic one. So it's really not any different what we're doing. We're still putting tickets on days with hours with the men that are to do the work. It's just we used to have a magnetic ticket that had paper that slid in and out of it and you moved it. And now it's on a screen and you're moving it around. So it's still the basic functions are still the same. When somebody calls in here, we have a prospect call report that comes out on the screen and it gets filled out. When we get a web request, all those things. It's enabling people to spend more time with your team and more time with your customers and less time shuffling papers. And you can bring a salesperson in and you can show them how they can make $100,000 a year or more, okay? Because they have all this technology at their hands and they can truly go out and quote work and get it done, not get bogged down on laborious processes, sifting papers in plastic folders through companies. It's just not the way to run a business anymore.
All right, Marty. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for
Yep.
joining
Thank you,
us.
everyone. Have a great weekend.